We are back home again in Indiana, the track located on the corner of 16th and Georgetown, as we welcome you to coverage of the 8th edition of RaceSpot Race Day. We've got ourselves 3 fantastic races, of course, culminating in the 8th round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. But first, we got ourselves the Formula Renault Sim Cup in just a few moments' time, and then also the RaceSpot TV Super Cup. That's coming up on your full slate of action here on RaceSpot TV, as we will start next.
Watch Ernie, go, go, go. Car right, car right, car right, car right. Watch him, watch him, watch him, watch him. Damn it! Get ready. Dude, more heads up than that. Jeez.
Right on the back wing. Can he make it happen?
Yes! Yes! Push like hell. We gotta stay in front of these guys.
Both drivers on the push to pass. Contact in the pit lane.
All right, 60. Let that eagle fly. What do I do? What happened? Push here. Push hard. Let's go get this guy. Car outside. Through behind you. Tell. Clear outside. Good job. Just spun behind you. I don't know if you got him or not.
He got out of it so hard. Look at these guys are all over the back.
Full throttle.
IndyCar. The in and out lap. What's next?
Come and get the checkers, big boy. Oh, baby, that was good. Hit me. Inside, inside, outside, inside, outside.
2017 Verizon IndyCar Series. See what's next.
Welcome to Speedway, Indiana, just located outside of the capital city of the state of Indiana. This is the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Since 1909, this track has hosted some of the best racing events in the world. In 2000, they hosted their first ever Formula One race. This track does GT racing, it does open wheel racing, it does NASCAR racing, it does the works. And today it plays host to round number 8 of the RaceSpot TV Formula Renault Sim Cup as well. Here are the track conditions for this afternoon. You'll see it's 78 degrees, 65% race relative humidity, and wind speeds of 10 kilometers an hour. Will Vincent along with Paul Smith and Jonathan Simon. Paul, welcome back to Indy.
Yeah, it's great to be back to Indy, and we were only here last week for the iRacing Grand Prix Series, so we've got an idea of how racing is going to go here, and slipstream is going to be key around here this afternoon for these drivers.
Yeah, and Johnny, as we have a look at the championship points coming into this one, well, Sadler leads by a small margin actually now, 12 points over Simone Maria Marceno.
Yeah, it's brilliant. He's been so consistent with only 1 win to his name. And it goes to show how brilliant Alex Sadler has been growing in the, growing in terms of skill. Unfortunately, he's not here today, but he's a young man. Spoken to him as well. He's genuine. He just wants to improve and get better. So that's why you're in these support series, to learn as much as you can and really gain that experience that you're not often going to get on the big stage.
Well, indeed so. There's your top 20 in your championship standings so far. 2 minutes left then before we head ourselves down to the grid. Paul, over to you.
Yes, thank you very much. And everybody's pretty much finished up their qualifying laps here. It's a short lap time around this track, so it's going to be plenty of laps, plenty of action in this one. And Jonathan, looking at those lap times, Simone Maria Marceno, the man who's second place in the championship, on the pole position, a 1:22.013. Just under 1/10 of a second ahead of who's possibly considered the unluckiest man in sim racing, Riley Preston.
Well, I guess his location of Australia would have more to say of that. It's never the best place to race from in terms of online racing, but it is what it is for him, so he has to just endure on and conquer as much as he can. He is a world championship driver. He is licensed, and it's good to see him putting in the work in the support series. You talk about lap times, Paul. That's important, and they're very close. But how do you get that lap time? Do you do it through high downforce, or do you have the top speed to defend during the event?
Well, Joni Savasti has been commenting that he's had too much drag on his car, so obviously running a little bit extra downforce here today for him. You need to have the low downforce for the maximum efficiency down the straights, because it's a very long high-speed section all the way through from turn 12 through IndyCar turn number 1, which is the final corner here, because we're running the opposite direction to what they would normally run in the Indy 500. And it's a long way down to turn number 1 here for these guys, and it's a hard, heavy braking area. So you want a little bit of downforce to give you that extra braking capacity, but really, it's going to be tough to compromise with that infield section.
Yeah, but the way I see it is the first couple of corners are medium speed, so the roll bars are doing more work than the aero is, and that's why you start to brake, but you're not going all the way down to first gear. You are sort of carrying a little bit of extra speed. It's not a hairpin either, and that's why you'll see battles going side by side through there. It's not just a one-way zone. So the start is going to be very entertaining, Paul, as you mentioned, because it is such a long run down to turn 1 as we now head to the grid.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very nervous for these guys. I mean, heading to that first corner, you really got to position your car right.
Well, here is the grid then. It's Simone Maria Marceno on pole position there, ahead of Riley Preston, as we said. Chris Lazarevic in third place with Joni Silvasti, one of your championship contenders, third place in the championship. He's fourth on the grid. Fabrizio Donoso is in fifth with Richard Arnaud in sixth. Corelius Jalveza in 7th with Scott Newton 8th, who's actually been commenting saying he's off the pace. Well, it doesn't look to be that far off the pace, to be honest. And Eric Andre in 9th with Christian Bug in 10th. Laurenius Vaitekununas in 11th with Ollie Cork at 12th. And rounding out the grid is Scott McIntyre in 13th grid. Johnny, who are you thinking then for the race win here today?
Yeah, Silvasti's been impressive all season, but let's have a look at what Maria Marceno can do. Riley Preston is a dark horse, though, and we haven't really seen Chris Lazarevic up into the top 3 that often, so he's also a dark horse. I think anyone in that top 4 right now, and the lap times show it too, they all got a great shot as the lights will begin to light up soon.
Yeah, we're just counting down, waiting for the last couple of drivers on the grid. Drivers getting a little bit impatient here, waiting for the start of this one. Simone Maria Marceno, though, he's in that key position. He's on pole position, but now we will turn our attention to the gantry. The drivers will be looking there. The engine revs will be rising. We're all set for 25 minutes of racing around Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Away from the start then, and it's a good start from Marceno. He's having to cover the inside line, though, as they're heading down towards turn 1. He is clear, and look at that coming through. That's Joni Silvasti coming through into second place. They're all fanning out 4 or 5 wide in towards turn number 1. Will they all keep it on the black stuff here? Through turn number 1 they go, and everybody behaving there into turn 1, all clean, well through. But it's Marceno who's in the lead ahead of Silvasti. Lazarevic in third. In fact, no, Riley Preston just moving ahead of him now, so up to third place for the Australian Riley Preston. And Donoso now attacking the Bastog for Lazarevic. They're all just keen to get these early stages out of the way, try and make up as many positions as they can. Scott Newton moving up on an Eric Andre. Further down, almost a little bit of contact between Christian Bug there and also Jalveza and Eric Andre. But heading down towards the end of the first lap already, just this left, right, left section here, and then you've got the 90-degree right-hander here. You've got to carry as much speed through there as possible because, Jonathan, it's important to carry that speed through there because you're carrying it all the way down to turn 1 now.
Yes, and very important to warm up the temperatures of the tires, the brakes, because that has been the story of struggle for most of the drivers on this first lap right now as they begin to cross the line.
And Riley Preston looking in a good place. He's got the slipstream. He's looking to the inside, and he's just going to waltz by, it looks like. Or is he just peaking out on this speed? He's got past up in second place. Look at the drafting that's going on behind as well. Richard Arnaud is side by side with Scott Newton in towards turn number 1. Newton holding it around the outside there. So Arnaud having to step back in to 7th place there. But good to see everybody able to finish that first lap there, Jonathan. But already Marceno pulling out 0.7 of a second on Riley Preston.
The thing is, Riley Preston, and there's a reason why he's a World Championship driver, is they bring it up to the next level in the race. And here's where Maria Marceno will be tested at his finest ability, because Preston is either going to catch up to the back of him here and have the run on the front straight with his brilliant top speed, or Maria Marceno will just have the practice advantage and the experience advantage in this Formula Renault. So that's the story for them to watch out. And by the way, Paul, who said they had a lot of drag before the start of the race? Yuni Silvasti, already overtaken once.
Oh, we've got a slow driver, Klis Lazarevic, falling down the order. He's dropping down the field. It looked like he had an issue going into that left-right-left section and had to get out the way of everyone. But he's back up to speed now, but it's right, almost last, penultimate place on the track. But look at this, look at the slipstreams that's going on here. And, well, heading down, look at the behind them. You've got people like Scott Newton, Richard Arnaud. You've then got Christian Bug and Eric Andre. Oleg Volker is involved as well, going into turn number 1. Still side by side, and that's a position gained there by the looks of things, as my timing screen's just crashed. So it is Eric Andre who makes it up forward.
Yeah, brave move by Eric Andre up the inside. The gap was just ever decreasing as he could see in front of him, but he managed to pull off the move. It's a lot of bravery, bit of a crapshoot as well going into the first corner as you just try to ease the car in and hope that the guy on the outside doesn't turn in on you. But I like what I'm seeing from Eric Andre in these early laps. Let's see if he can move up a few more positions. He's currently in that 7th spot. Ahead of him, he's got Arnaud, Newton, and Donoso.
And we're seeing how well that Arnaud and Newton can race, and Donoso as well. Look at this, just this gaggle of cars here. 4th place down to what is 8th, 9th place. In fact, further back there was Oleg Volker, I believe it was. No, it wasn't. It was Lazarevic having another little issue coming out of turn number 11, and he's now back up and running, but struggling with the car here today is Lazarevic. But down towards turn 1 again, and the slipstream train is on here, Jonathan. And it's a case of just biding your time. You've still got 20 minutes remaining. Don't do anything silly now.
Yeah, but a lot of these guys are losing out to the pack in front. And they've got 4.3 seconds to make up on Silvasti and P3. Here they are alongside each other into turn 2. And some contact there brings Eric Andre alongside Donoso now as Donoso fights, loses the car and saves it. And look at the domino effect. A couple cars going off the track too, Paul. So, wow, scruffy stuff.
Yeah, and that's it. When you're in a pack like that, you know, one little thing at the front and it can affect all the way down. And Eric Andre carrying on now down in 10th place. He's dropped down. Christian Bug looking to the inside of him there. Also had Oleg Volker lose control in through turn number 1 on that lap as well. So he's dropped to the back of the field. Scott McIntyre up a position now because that Christian Bug looking at the back of Richard Arnaud. Not able to make the move at the end of that straight. And looking at this track, Jonathan, key overtaking opportunities obviously down the start and finish straight and towards turn 1. But is really turn number 8 the only real other opportunity around here?
I mean, you say real opportunity, it's hardly an opportunity, but it is one. So, I mean, you have to say it is, but it's so difficult to get the run out of that preceding right-hander, the medium-speed right-hander, as I have a look here at Vita Kunis and Richard Arnaud, as Arnaud heads himself up into the 9th position, who was earlier off the track. We saw with that scruffy display with a few drivers making mistakes. What you'll notice as well, Paul, is when drivers are heading offline, at least this early in the event, that's where they made most of their mistakes. We saw that with Lazarevic on the opening lap, a couple others as well. I think the offline right now is not the best place to be. That's not going to help overtaking at all in this infield section.
Scott McIntyre had a little issue at turn number 1 as well. He took to the grass, so he's dropped back down to last place now and is really struggling fact, he's hardly got any pace at the moment, so he's having issues all today. Last lap, by the way, Riley Preston was 0.2 of a second faster than Marceno in front, so Preston's getting his foot down. He's broken away from Yoni Silvasti, so Silvasti is on his own at the moment in that 3rd place. Now, Marceno's responded this lap. He has just pulled out a little bit of a gap. We'll see the lap times as we go across the line here. But Riley Preston, he's wanting. He could smell that victory in front of him, but he's not taking the slipstream, Jonathan. That seems to be a little bit unusual. And yeah, there you go. That last lap, Marceno was 0.2 of a second faster than Preston.
Yeah, I know some drivers don't like to do that. I don't know why. I mean, even if you're going to gain 0.001 of a second, I'll take that over nothing. You know, you might as well. So. Regardless, anyway, a lot of drivers see that sort of situation differently in terms of taking slipstream. But when you're in this situation as a driver and you're in P2, no pressure behind, you're really looking at deltas most of the time. And you're wondering, am I gaining 10th by 10th? And then once you get close enough, you no longer look at the lap times because you base on it. Pretty much everything is based visually. You know, at this point in time, I think he's too far away in front, Mario Marceno, for Preston to go, oh, I'm catching him. He has lap times to reference to. And that's what's keeping him occupied now and keeping him motivated in this battle for P1.
Looking further down, Lazarevic and Yarveza battling for 6th and 7th place. Just over half a second between them. And those two, they've been swapping lap times recently. The last lap, Lazarevic was 0.4 of a second faster. But these two appear, maybe not on times, but they appear to be just gaining slowly on the cars in front of Eric Andre as Christian Bug and Vita Kunis. Christian Bug's had an issue. He's dropped down a position now, so he's down to 11th place. But yeah, the battle further up for that 4th, 5th and 6th place, it's all getting together, and this is how this track brings racing. It just sort of ebbs and flows, and you see packs just spread out a little bit, then compress again. And that appears to be what happened in here today, Jonathan.
Yeah, it is. This is one of the first tracks I ever experienced in sim racing. One of the first tracks I ever did a full Grand Prix distance at too. And it teaches you the basics, really. You know, I mean, you got medium speed corners, you have to clip apexes. There's not that much runoff, so you can't run wide and test the limits that easily as well. You've got an overtaking spot, you've got a long straight. It's got a combination of everything. So, you know, the layout's changed, obviously. Now this version is historic. iRacing is obviously laser scanned every track that they do, which is brilliant. But very fun circuit. I quite like it. I enjoyed it, especially when Formula 1 was around here many, many years ago. Going back to that battle for P2, that corner you spoke about, Paul, turn 11, where you get the run onto the long straight. That's where Christian Bug made that mistake a lap earlier and went off. And that's where Riley Preston, I think, he's losing a bit of time through there. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, I'll tell you now that looking at this, looking at the positions gained in this race, Scott Newton and Eric Andre both have gained 4 positions from the starting place. In fact, we've got side by side here, Lazarevic and Yarveza, and Lazarevic is through. Made that move, sticks up to 6th place now for him. And he's going to be chasing down Eric Andre. So yeah, so +4 positions for Newton and Eric Andre in this one so far. So not bad race from those two, and showing a good bit of turn of pace. Donoso, he's gone for a bit of grass tracking. I think he's trying to bring Rallycross to iRacing a bit sooner than we're going to be getting it into the just lost control of it on the exit of turn number 2. Across the grass, across the gravel, but he's back up and running down in that penultimate place. But that's the thing, every car is still running in this race.
Yeah, that car looked very unstable over the bumps, and he's finally lost it. So just applying the throttle a bit too early before the car was capable of really gripping to the track. So he's all the way down now in the 12th position after starting this lap in P9. So a lot of work to do to make up for that. But really, I would have expected, I mean, Preston and Maria Marceno, who are teammates, would have expected Preston to close in a little bit more. So I'm a little bit disappointed with that. But regardless, anyway, P4 to P7, all within a second of each other. I think that's where we've got to keep our eyes on right now.
Yeah, we do, and there's not going to be any moves made this time by, but they're all just lining each other up, getting that a little bit closer, using the slipstream. And the beauty of these Formula Renault cars is that they've got downforce on them, but it's not too, it's not too much where it'll affect the car in front a lot. As and Eric Andre, all sorts of wrong going into turn number 4 there. But the levels of downforce on this car, Jonathan, mean that you can follow a little bit closer. And then Eric Andre losing control. I held on to it in the end there, but it's dropped down 2 positions now, down to 7th place. But all that talk about downforce, he needed some then.
Yeah, so, I mean, wow. He has to worry about tyre temperatures now as well, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's bring Will Vincent in for a little bit of special comments from Will. Go ahead.
We're on the replay, and what you see is the JCL Apex Racing UK machine just ahead of Scott Newton. He actually locked up into that corner, and that's what's caused an Eric Andre to get all forms of confusion wrong. We're having a look again then on board with Scott Newton. You'll see some smoke come out of this car now. And just as he does that, you see that Eric Andre then just gets distracted, and that's what causes him to have that incident.
So there you go. In-depth analysis here on RaceSpot TV. RaceSpot Race Day, of course, the Formula Renault Sim Cup here. First of 2 build-up races towards the iRacing Grand Prix around this Indianapolis circuit. And well, just looking here, we've still got this battle here for 4th place, and Scott Newton at the head of it with Chris Lazarevic and Corellis Javeza. And Jonathan, if you're the chasing driver, what can you do to get in the head of the car in front and make them make a mistake?
A lot of the time, they're mentally weak anyway. If you just have a jink in the braking zone and have a little peak, if they're not mentally strong, you'll see them go offline. And once I see a driver go offline once, I truly don't go back. I know I've got him in my hands, and that's where that really plays to your advantage. So that's one method. The other method is just creep up to the back and overtake him. Just pound the rock. Go at them slowly, gain 10th by 10th each lap, and eventually you'll get there, and you'll get in their head by getting past them.
Well, Newton is under pressure here from Lazarevic now. Through that final turn 13, the corner that caused so much controversy in Formula 1 back in, I believe it was 2005, and here comes Lazarevic then, using that slipstream to the outside. Scott Newton trying to hang on there, but he's having to duck back in behind into that slipstream, and he's down a position. So Lazarevic now up to 4th place. But Scott Newton is not giving this one up here, Jonathan. He's getting all over the back of that, over the gearbox of that car in front now.
He's helped by the fact that Lazarevic trail braked way too deep into turn number 1, and that cost him a lot of time on the exit, compromised his speed. So Newton's still all over the back of him now. Here's that right-hander that does no help for overtaking as they cross the DRS zone that will be used later today in the World Championship event. And here we creep down to 10 minutes remaining too. So plenty of time for Newton to really make up for that mistake. And look at that again. So that was very weird right there, Paul. Did you see that? Lazarevic running deep and Newton taking it too easy. So just butchered a brilliant opportunity, Scott, to get back past.
And now he's got pressure from behind. Here comes Javeza. Maybe he's pushed his tyres a little bit too early in this race, and those guys behind have looked after him as well. It's not the hottest of track temperatures here, 87 degrees Fahrenheit track temperature. And, well, here we go then. Scott Newton under pressure in that Apex Racing UK car. And Javeza right up into the slipstream. Look at how close he's getting now. Is this a case of he's just waiting, biding his time for the right moment and leaving it a little bit later into the race?
No, that's drag. He was on the rev limiter right there, Javeza, and he had nothing else to give to get past Scott Newton. And this is going to be a difficult end to the race if that's his top speed, because you cannot get past on this infield section. We've hardly seen many moves today. We will hardly see any for the remainder of the race. He's got to count on Scott Newton mistakes, just like we saw there. Although I'm really being harsh to Scott Newton calling that mistake. Maybe just took a wide line through the corner.
There was wide line heading down towards turn number 8. This complex. Carry the speed through the first one, just get a little bit more onto the brakes through the right-hander, and then a bit more brakes for the left-hander. It just tightens up on each one. Get the car over to the left-hand side, and look at this now. We can see the gearbox of the car in front there, and it is Scott Newton in front. Jarveza doing everything he can. Ollie Kvoka. Riley Preston's into the pit lane. What on earth has happened here? Riley Preston from second place into the pits, Jonathan.
We don't normally see that, so there's something definitely going on. But here's Jarveza on the back of Scott Newton for a move. But again, he maxes out at 239, 240 kilometers an hour, and he has nothing else to give here to get past Scott. So this could be the story of the race. We could be seeing Enrique Benaldi, David Coulthard in 2017.
As Riley Preston, did he not put a full amount of fuel in?
I don't want to.
Something's happened here, surely. Something has happened, and he's in the pits, and he's in there for a long time now. So that's his race done. He's not going to get on the podium. He was set for a good second place. He's coming out of the pits now. And that was a 16-second pit stop time. So I'm suspecting possible tyres and fuel taken there.
Yeah, oh, geez, you almost lost it at turn 2.
Well, he's definitely second tyres if he's losing it there. Cold tyres. Yeah, now Jarveza is all over the back of Scott Newton here. Again, through 8, 9, and 10, obviously showing the greater downforce. But we've seen these last 2 laps, Scott Newton, when he's in the clean air, he still has about 3-4 kilometers an hour over Jarveza.
If Jarveza can't get past here, then I don't think he's got a legitimate shot. He has to tuck into the slipstream, and he has to get ahead early, which he does. This is a great shot for Carlos Jarveza, but I think he's tucked out of the slipstream. He's broken out of the slipstream a little too early there, and you can see he's just got nothing left to give on this latter part of the straight.
Oh, he's moving! He's gone for it! Down the inside of the brakes! Oh, and contact between the two of them. There's damage to Scott Newton's front wing, and it was all smacked a little bit of desperation there, Jonathan.
Yeah, you know what? Hats off for going for it anyway. Good bravery. I apologize, obviously, to Scott after the race, but he had to do it. You know, the driver who's not classy will say, hey, it's not my fault, and that's the guy. He turned in on me. Just be classy. Apologize after the race. You know your situation. At least he gave it a good shot.
Well, what it has done is brought Eric Andre and Richard Arnault into this fight now. And these two, they could find themselves in 4th and 5th place soon because of the damage on Newton and possibly Jarveza's car.
Exactly. Wow. So this race out of nowhere. Oh, I mean, it's really hasn't been the most entertaining race. And here's Newton going wide, and there we go. Game over.
He's struggling with that front wing damage. He can't. He hasn't got the grip now. He's not going to have the top speed either because of the extra drag of that front wing damage. So that's not going to be helpful. Riley Preston is. By the way, he is still running, so that's good. Scott McIntyre not that far behind him. Donoso, by the way, side by side here through the final corner with Vitakunis now as they're heading down the straight. Donoso got the extra speed there, an extra 5 kilometers an hour and through, but he's cut back in now as Vitakunis onto the brakes. They've got Ollie Kvoka there as well. Oh, locking up the brakes is Vitakunis. So these three are battling it out for 9th, 10th and 11th as well. And we've still got that battle of Eric Andre and Richard Arnault. They are dropping back now, Jonathan, from Jarveza. So it's going to be a battle for 5th and 6th between the two teammates.
Yeah, and any pundits putting bets on Ollie Kvoka would never bet of him to be outside the top 10, let alone in a 13-car grid. So, I mean, that guy's quick, so this round something's different. Maybe he hasn't practiced. Maybe he's just not feeling it at Indy. Who knows? But regardless, anyway, he's in a little fight here, in a scrap. I'd use that as small motivation. Hey, I can get into the top 10 here if I get past these two cars. There's still something to play for.
I'll tell you what, I am going to apologise to Simon Maria Marceno. We haven't mentioned him much. That's because he's got a 6.4 seconds lead. Ollie Kvoka's round. Exit of turn 11. He's going backwards down the straight. He's going to try and J-turn it. Brilliantly done there, Ollie Kvoka. Back up and running again. That's fantastic. We get a replay of that one. That is sensational. Okay, it's not great getting your wheel onto the grass in the first place, but Jonathan, hats off. That's a great J-turn.
Yeah, wow. I mean, I'm speechless. By the way, he felt pressure from this last round. He is the highest ranked driver in the championship standings who hasn't won a race. That car control there was terrible. Hit the grass and then made up for it and said, hey, wait a second, I am a good driver. Watch this. He turned it around. Oh, geez.
The immortal words of a driver are the 2 words, watch this. That's for sure. We've still got this, I would say battle, but the holding station between Arnaud and Eric Andre, 5th and 6th, they're keeping it a steady 8/10 of a second, so there's not any battle going on there. And the only other battle that was on track is now down to, it's over a second between them now, between Donoso and Vaisakununis. So, everybody just spreading out here towards the end. We're going to be starting, the penultimate lap? Well, no, we've got 3 laps left now as Simon Maria Marceno. And let's talk about Marceno at the moment, really. You know, we've hardly spoken about him, and look at him. He's just absolutely been just metronomic, just cut corner after corner, just hitting his marks, and that's all he's needed to do today.
No, he is. He's doing a great job. He's clipping every apex. The car looks stable. It looks quick. It just looks like a fun day out there for Simone Maria Marceno. And people always say, oh, it's always boring when you're out in front on your own. And I'm like, if I'm chasing P1, I quite enjoy that. And so, to me, that's a different story. But yeah, here he comes through the final parts of the infield section. Just brilliant. Look at him, clipping every apex, not putting a foot wrong, on the throttle early. Car is just, wow, what a lap. I watched the whole lap and I'm impressed.
I tell you what, he's on course for a hat-trick here as well. He had pole position in this race. He's got the fastest lap in this race as well. He's still putting in the fast laps here as well. He's just going out for a Saturday afternoon drive here. He comes across the line now to start his penultimate lap possibly here. Yeah, it will be the penultimate lap. Oh, he was 1/10 off of his fastest lap there. That's not good enough, Simone. I expect better of you.
Yeah.
Looking down, everybody just, I think those earlier incidents are now going for a bit of grass tracking. Oh, Donoso's round. Donoso's had an incident and it's on the exit of turn 11. And he's run wide onto the grass, and
did he J-turn it?
No, he didn't J-turn it.
Oh, well, that's not good enough then for Fabrizio. But anyway, he's in P10 now, so he didn't. How much did he lose off of that?
Place.
He lost the 1 place, yeah. But anyway,
he's now 7.5, 8 seconds behind Vaisakunis, who he was about 1.5 seconds ahead of. So he's lost about 9 seconds there.
Aww. Well, that is the difference between a championship possibly for Fabrizio Donoso, and that's been there, being in P10. But yes.
We have got Christian Bugg catching up to Scott Newton here. So that damage, Newton's struggling with it. He's doing in the 24s. 7 is going to come under pressure for Scott Newton here. Newton's going to go through. Christian Bugg can't quite make the move there in towards turn number 8. So we're going to have a 3-car battle for that position. Marceno starts his final lap now. One more lap in this race here, and we've got a 3-car battle now for 6th place, Jonathan.
Yeah, but Eric Andre had a tank slapper on an empty tank of fuel. Very weird. It went one way, tried to correct it, went the other. But here he has a shot here to begin the final lap on Scott Newton. And we know Newton has the straight line speed, but here's Andre sailing past before the straight. And he's already into P6. Newton has a shot here.
No, he's got that damage on the front wing, remember. And here comes Christian Bugg now. And it's showing that damage, just how much it affects them. And Newton, in one corner and a straight, has lost 2 positions there.
Yeah, he's losing a couple of kilometers an hour on the straight. But we know Maria Marceno coming towards the final parts of this final lap. It's been a brilliant race for him, Paul. No damage, unlike Scott Newton, unfortunately. But he's just been sailing away. Lap after lap, absolutely impressive.
Yep, here he is then, through turn number 12, onto the banking for the final time, and the Evolution Racing Team driver Simon Maria Marceno in line for his 3rd win of the season. All he's going to do, make it around here, and he's going to see the checkered flag and take the win in round 8 of the RaceSpot Formula Renault Sim Cup. dominant display from him, 6.9 seconds ahead of Yoni Silvestri in second place. Chris Lazarevic, great drive from him in the end there to finish that one up in third place. Started third, finishes third. We've still got a battle there of Yalveza and Richard Arnaud, but it's not quite close enough, so Yalveza is going to finish fourth and Arnaud fifth. Christian Bug trying his best to catch up to Eric Andre, but around that final corner cannot do that. And there we'll see the checkered flag there. And good race there. Some intense battles going on, Jonathan, but an absolutely dominant display from Simone Maria Marcena.
Yeah, we've talked about him already. Brilliant race from him. His third win of the season. And closing in anyway on that championship advantage. I think he's taken it away from Alex Sadler, who's not here this round. So leads the championship, Maria Marcena. Silvestri behind, though. Definitely needs to improve. He's got the most wins this season, but in terms of the points, we know he's missed around, but he definitely won the championship. So I think the second place there will be bittersweet. Good points, but not enough when your championship rival wins the event. Okay, so let's take you through your final results then, and it is Simone Maria Marcena who wins this one, ahead 6.9 seconds ahead of Yoni Silvestri in second. Chris Lazarevic in third place, all on his own in third place, with Carlos Yalveza in fourth place, only finishing 7/10 of a second ahead of Richard Arnaud in the end. And Eric Andre finishing 3/10 of a second ahead of Christian Bug, that's 6th and 7th, with Scott Newton in 8th place. 9th was Loranes Vitakunas. 10th place for Fabrizio Donoso with a few spins there. Started in 5th place, so he'll be disappointed with that race. Oli Kvoka, great J-turn, but he won't be happy with that. The 4th place driver going into the season, into this race, is down in 11th place. Riley Preston, that pit stop, really unusual pit stop there, finishes in 12th. And Scott McIntyre, sorry, rounding out your 13-car field there, Will.
Yes, and there's a couple of things to bring you up to speed on. First of all, the pit stop for Riley Preston was actually due to a penalty. He cut the track and wasn't able to give the time back in time, so he had to serve a penalty as a consequence of that one. And, well, we think about this one, Paul, you know, Riley Preston just cannot catch a break.
I mean, we see it every week in the iRacing Grand Prix series that we show on Sundays. He's just the unluckiest man in sim racing at the moment, is Riley, and once again, in a really good position there. Second place, he was 2.5 seconds behind his teammate and ended up having to serve a penalty. He just can't catch a break at the moment.
Yeah, indeed so. But also, that J-turn, that was absolutely amazing that we saw by Oli Kvoka. And I will say, possibly, move of the season so far, just in the fact that he didn't get his car, you know, completely totaled.
Yeah, absolutely. It was something else, was that's for sure. I've not seen a J-turn in a Formula Renault car before, so congratulations, hats off to him. That's some good car control to get that car back up and running again.
Right, what we're going to do here, ladies and gentlemen, on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live, we're going to step aside for 2 minutes, come back, more thoughts, think about the Super Cup. You're watching RaceSpot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live. This is RaceSpot Race Day.
Get ready, going green. Green, green, green.
The NASCAR Peak Anniversary Series, powered by iRacing, is the premier NASCAR esports series featuring the cars and tracks from the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The 2016 campaign saw a return to the top of the mountain by Ray Alfalla as a 3-time NASCAR World Champion. The march to that championship was not easy, though, despite the fact that Ray Alfalla took home the most points in series history. It just also happened to be the tightest championship fight we had ever seen. These guys are set for the 2017 campaign, and as it has been for the 7 years prior, it is no longer going to be a straight shot to the championship. We are going to see the biggest change in this championship picture in series history, as for the first time ever, there will be a chase for the championship. We're going to go into the Homestead Miami Speedway at the end of the season with the 4 best oval sim racing drivers in the world absolutely tied in the championship. You just got to beat the other 3 guys out and you will become an official NASCAR champion. You're going to get yourself a NASCAR championship ring and, of course, $10,000. These are the iRacing Esport World Championships, the pinnacle of sim racing competition. You can catch it all season long, live coverage on iRacing.com/live.
You just saw in the background Indianapolis, the state capital of the state of Indiana. Speedway, Indiana, located just a few miles to the northwest. As we wrap up then our coverage of the Formula Renault Sim Cup. Final thoughts then, Johnny, about the race that we've just seen.
Not the most entertaining this season, but we did get a nice little J-turn in there. The battles were nice, though. We saw a few throughout the race, and a good win for Maria Marceno, who takes his 3rd win of the season and the championship lead.
Yep, as well, Paul, we've got to think about the fact that J-turn was important, but actually, Maria Marceno, 3rd win of the season, but also, you know, he just looked absolutely faultless.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable drive from him, and hats off. Yeah, that was impressive to see there. Finishing that one so far ahead of one of his championship contenders as well. You know, Johnny Silvestri. Silvestri was only 3 points behind Marceno going into that round, so he's just lost a few more points on him. But I would say that crucially, Marceno should now be in the lead of the championship.
Indeed so then, so we move ourselves away from the Formula Renault Sim Cup over now to the RaceSpot TV Super Cup. There we are. And well, we've seen some good races so far this season, Paul, but at the moment we're looking at a very, very small grid.
It's early in practice yet. They've still got enough of, 12 minutes of practice to go yet, so... yeah, hopefully a few more will join us for this one. But I'll tell you what, even if it's a small grid, these Porsches will still find a way to bump into each other.
Yeah, indeed. So whilst we have the odd moment then, of course, what we can do, Johnny, is talk about the season so far on the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, because it has been the Martin Kroenke show, quite literally winning 7 from 7.
Yeah, it's been brilliant this season. His best challenger, I think, in Gregor Hoot, who's been absent, but he should be back today as well. Most of the Red Line guys will be there anyway. Unfortunately, Graham Carroll, who's on holidays, will miss this round as well. But let's see if somebody can take it to Kroenke. And I think that's the story we've repeated all season. So it's no change for Indy. And last year, by the way, we mentioned that Kroenke had the advantage at Indy. Red Line suffered in terms of setup with straight line speed. So they've learnt their lesson here with the McLaren. And what will they bring this year to Indianapolis in 2017?
Yeah, indeed. So, and actually talk about the different types of tracks. This is one actually that does favour the VOS Commander Supersports team. So maybe we don't need to look, Johnny, at Team Redline. Look inside. Maybe Mitchell de Jong, for example, will have the opportunity to go big today.
He definitely will. He has missed the last 2 rounds, though. Wasn't there at Silverstone or Imola, although before that he had 2 podium finishes at Road America and Monza, and he lost in both of those races to Martin Kroenke. We know what happened at Monza, only down by less than a second on his teammate of Kroenke, so different circumstances. We know how quick Mitchell de Jong is in qualifying, and if he can get ahead of his teammate once again, let's see if that reigns the same when the checkered flag waves at the end of the event.
And Paul, we have got to ask the question, because we've been asking it pretty much now for the last 4 races. Can Martin Kroenke do 100%? And if not, who is the driver to take the first win away from him?
I think the only way that Martin Kroenke doesn't take the 100% is if he doesn't turn up to one race. I think most of the grid would actually appreciate him not turning up to one of the races, but really I think he's just been that step above everybody else so far this season that really it's not a matter of if, but when he does get that 100% season.
Indeed, so of course it's a fantastic time for McLaren at the moment. Things like world's fastest gamer in terms of sim racing is going to be a big thing over the course of the next 6 months. Of course, you've got the first of the finals on here taking place right now, but I think actually this is a really good time, and we will see, I think, you know, over the course of it, we've already seen actually some drivers in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, Paul, actually be looking to be in contention for world's fastest gamer.
And this is it. And I think with this opportunity that's coming forward to them, we've already seen that that Bono House has been announced as one of the 6 picks, hasn't he, for that championship. So you've got the rest that are qualifying, and it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. And I think this is just another way of adding another step towards people sort of taking sim racing as a legitimate form of motorsport.
Yeah, and as you say, Bonner House, one of those drivers who's already punched his ticket to the final, and of course he'll be battling anyone that finishes in that 4-round championship that will be hosted over the course of the next couple of weeks. But turn our attention then back to the Porsches for the moment, Johnny. Mario Bertolotti is currently leading it in practice right now. 8 minutes remaining in practice session as we speak. And actually, I just kind of want to focus on the championship standings for a moment, because Joni Heikkinen leads the way, but a lot of the Finnish drivers, of course, are otherwise engaged this weekend with a big sim racing event in Finland.
Yeah, so obviously a lot of clashes with events, and this goes to show your loyalty, Paul. Who values this event over the others? But all jokes aside, you know what? I think we can still get some good quality racing. And of course, Will, out of all the tracks for us to miss a lot of the grid, it is at Indy, and it's at the exact same layout it happened in 05. So a bit of nostalgia, and not in a good way. And who are we going to blame here? Michelin or the drivers?
You know what? You had a fantastic 4-wide finish in the Indy Lights race a few years ago, and there's only 12 drivers on the grid back then.
Yeah.
You don't need, you know, car numbers to have fantastic races here, Paul, really, do you?
No, you don't. And it just goes to show you, yeah, everyone loves to see a big grid, you know, 30, 40 cars on a track and all that, but you don't always get the best driving then. You end up with lots of incidents. Okay, we'd prefer not to have 7 cars so far in practice, but you've got some really high quality drivers out there. You know, Mario Bertolotti, you've got Jared Filsell, who's currently 4th in practice, David Williams, Scott McIntyre is doing double duty again, so some good top quality drivers out there, and they're going to put some times in, and we'll be able to see sort of like a bit of close racing, a little bit of door rubbing possibly.
Yeah, indeed. So what we'll do in a moment, we'll just show you a couple of laps on board of some drivers here on RaceSpot Race Day. And of course, don't forget, coming up after this webcast is round number 8 of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. Catch it here on RaceSpot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live, the 8th round of the championship, and it has been the Martin Kroenke show so far. The question's going to be, can anyone challenge him? as we head ourselves back home again to Indiana. So find that one out after this webcast that, of course, we know as RaceSpot Race Day. That's right then, a couple of laps on board with some drivers getting you ready for qualifying. Practice is almost over then from the RaceSpot TV Super Cup. Qualifying is next. We'll be back in a moment's time.
Introducing a whole new form of racing to the best online racing simulation in the world. This is Dirt Racing on iRacing.com. Race online at some of America's most legendary dirt tracks, including Eldora and Williams Grove. iRacing is the premier online racing game featuring NASCAR, IndyCar, sports cars, and now World of Outlaws, the leading sanctioning body for dirt racing. iRacing is easy to use and features a centralized ranking system to make sure you have the best experience at any skill level. With a massive inventory of high-precision laser scan tracks and cars with an unmatched dedication to quality and detail, iRacing gives you the most authentic online racing experience available. Thanks to iRacing's dynamic track system, developed specifically for dirt racing, tracks change over the course of a race, just like your favorite dirt track on a Friday or Saturday night. From a slick racing groove all the way up to the cushion, iRacing's dirt tracks deliver non-stop racing action. Partnered with the World of Outlaws, iRacing is your source for the most authentic dirt racing experience available, featuring 4 brand new tracks and 11 new cars, including street stocks, Legends cars, late models, NASCAR trucks, winged and non-winged sprint cars, with much more on the way. Join the Dirt Revolution on iRacing.com and start slinging mud today.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them for a breast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
Hey guys, Christopher Bell here. As you guys know, iRacing is coming out with dirt, and it's been a long time coming. So I'm here today to kind of show you around the sprint cars and hopefully give you some insight for whenever you first drive it. So here we are at Williams Grove, gonna go out and make a couple laps in the 410 wing sprint car. I'm on default setup with a gear change to a 522. As we roll out of the pits, you guys might notice that the car wants to pull left and you have to hold the steering wheel right to go straight. That's normal for a sprint car because you have so much stagger, it's always trying to turn the car left. Once you get up to speed, that goes away. Going down the straightaways, Williams Grove has really long straightaways and really tight corners. The big wings on the sprint cars, it always wants to pull you left into the corner, so it doesn't take much steering wheel input to get the car into the corner. A big key for the wing sprint cars is that they always like to go straight. They don't like to be too sideways. So the less steering wheel input you can have and the straighter you can keep the car, the faster you'll go. As the track slickens off, you'll be able to play with the setup to get the car driving even straighter yet. And that's a couple laps around Williams Grove. So here we are at Eldora Speedway. I'm on baseline setup with a gear change to a 511. As we roll out at Eldora Speedway, one thing that you'll notice is that the corners are really sweeping and it's almost a circular shape. The big thing about Eldora is just keeping that steering wheel straight. The straighter you keep the wheel and the less steering input that you give the car, the faster you'll go. The fast line around Eldora will be right around the inside wall in the corners and then with a big arc towards the outside walls down the straightaways. Then once the track slicks off, you'll be able to follow the groove up towards the outside wall, where the famous Eldora High Line comes into play. So now we're at Volusia Speedway Park with the 410 wing sprint car. I'm on baseline setup with a 511 gear, the same as what we ran at Eldora. Whenever you roll out on the racetrack, you'll notice that Volusia is similar to Eldora. They have long sweeping corners, and it's kind of circular in shape. At Volusia, whenever the track is fast, you'll want to be right down against the concrete wall in the corners with a nice big arc down the straightaway. Whenever the track starts to slicken up, you'll be able to follow the groove up higher and higher. Whenever you get into turns 3 and 4, though, the groove might get up onto the shelf, which is the flatter section of the racetrack. And then it becomes very difficult to exit turn 4 without getting into the wall. And that's just one of the characteristics of Volusia Speedway Park. Hope you guys have fun.
Welcome to the Super Cup here on RaceSpot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live. Qualifying is underway right now for the Super Cup. It's Will Vincent hosting along with Paul Smith and Jonathan Simon. As we can see, air temperature 28 degrees, humidity 55%, wind speed of 10 kilometers an hour. What's up, Paul?
All right, well, we're in qualifying. We've got 8 cars on the grid now, so that's good to see. I am still disappointed that a certain gentleman who's just come into our commentary booth and is now hiding again, and Mr. Hugo Lewis is once again not giving us the opportunity to watch him race in this series.
Indeed, so I think what we should do for the next 2 minutes here, Johnny, is lambant the fact that Hugo Lewis is not getting into a VOS Commander Sim Sports car today and not taking to the track and not going to go racing in the Super Cup.
I don't know what to say. I'm going to be nice to him. I'll play good cop this round. He does whatever he wants to do. We have got an 8-car grid at the moment. Have we spoken about that yet? Hopefully this is... and we did earlier.
You weren't listening to what I was saying, did you?
No, I did. I'm just saying that...
It's okay, Paul. He doesn't listen to a word I say either.
What did you say? No, I'm joking. So, what happens is, no Hugo Luis, unfortunately. I haven't seen Guilherme Jobard before. He is there anyway in P6. But David Williams will probably lead this championship at the end of the race because he's the closest one up there. And he's right now on the grid right now. But Jared Filsell has a good chance of winning. Well then, Paul, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, so just looking at the qualifying times at the moment as they stand, Mario Bertolotti is 0.297 seconds ahead of Scott Lanark. But then you look at how close the second, third and fourth place drivers are. Lanark, Filsell and Williams all covered by less than about half a 500ths of a second, if I could get my words out today. So really close between those guys, and Filsell's just put in a time to... pop him up ahead of those two. So yeah, that's it's interesting to see how close those guys are able to run. You've got Mark McDonald and Jobard as well, and in 5th and 6th, Jamie Wilson in 7th, Scott McIntyre yet to set a qualifying lap, who is doing double duty today, Jonathan, with the Formula Renaults and now the Super Cup.
Yeah, that's correct. And so double duties, always interesting. I do the practice for double duties anyway. It's always weird because you jump into one car and adapting to the Porsche compared to an open wheeler like the Formula Renault. It's so weird. So I always tip my hat to a driver who can do that, and it's always very impressive.
I can barely drive one car, let alone 2 different types of car. That certainly gives the reason why I'm behind the microphone, not behind the wheel today. But here we are. I'm just having a look at Scott Lanark, then 3rd place on the grid. He's just coming around turn 13. The interesting thing is here, the difference between the Formula Renaults and the Porsche is that the Formula Renaults could go absolutely flat chat around that final corner, whereas these Porsches, they're having to feather the throttle as Lanark now goes 2,000ths of a second faster. In fact, 1,000th second faster than Filsell, and then Filsell goes even quicker.
And he blows the engine too while he's at it. So I think he did that deliberately. And very close to Bertolotti. I'm very impressed by Mario here this round. Super Mario up into P1. And possibly he could take his first win of the season. But Phil Sell's been the one where I'm basing it on past results, which is where his bias comes in as to why I think he can win this event. But Bertolotti, keep proving me wrong here. Brilliant time.
Yeah, he's certainly doing a good job here. And, well, a minute left of qualifying. Drivers, David Williams is on his final qualifying lap now. So he's going to be running down the back straight down towards turn number 8. So easy to lock up a front wheel here around this section of the track, turn 8. Then right-hander at turn 9, and then turn 10, even tighter one. But the thing is, you can clip those curbs a little bit more. In fact, you're going to be seeing about the same usage of curbs here in the Porsche as you would in the Formula Renault, because the curbs aren't that aggressive here at this track, Jonathan.
Yep, that's true. So as he brings all 485 horsepower onto the front stretch, and his Porsche is always an entertaining car. It's been a really thrilling season this year, Paul, in the Porsches. So it's a bit sad that we only have an 8-car grid.
Look at that. Look at that time, David Williams. Exactly the same, David Williams and Jared Filsell. Well, that's the end of qualifying, and what a time to put that that final lap in there. And well, let's take you through this this grid. It's an 8-car grid, but it's still a high-quality grid here. So on pole position then, Mario Bertolotti with a 125.521. And of David Williams in second place with a 25.603, exactly the same as Jared Filsell in third place. Scott Lennart then in fourth. He's only a 10th and a click away from those guys. And Matt McDonald in fifth place with a 26.0, some 0.3 of a second behind. Guillaume Jobard in sixth place, 26.981. Jamie Wilson, 27.222. Scott McIntyre did not set a lap time, but he has said that he has been struggling with the car and with the track this week. So then, Jonathan, 8-car grid, the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car, should I say. What's your thoughts? Who do you think's going to take this one? Very close between the top 4.
It's very close between them, and that's what I said last round in the Formula Renault. So I think Bertolotti with his pace, if he can sustain that in the event, and he may have the advantage. David Williams could be the roadblock for Jared Filsell if he remains in front. David, he did set that lap time in the latter stages of the event, so he had the rubber. So let's see what they can do. But anyway, should be a good one, although I know we only have 8 cars, but it should be a good one because the times are very close between the front 4, as we said. So this victory isn't going to be easy. And I think that's the first time, by the way, Paul, you got through the grid before every single driver took to the grid. But anyway, here we go to the lights.
Yep, absolutely. Once again, looking to the gantry, looking for the lights. 30 minutes of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the RaceSpot Super Cup. Away we go. Look at the start that Jared Filsell got from third place on the grid. He had got a brilliant launch there, heading down towards turn 1 now. All the cars weaving about. David Williams looking to the inside of Bertolotti, but Bertolotti's going to take the lead. But Filsell, crucially, around the outside, he's got the inside for turn number 2. Can he get the spot over David Williams? Williams has now got the inside line for 3. Onto the brakes. Hard braking, Williams. Oh, a little bit twitchy there. Cold tyres. These drivers having to take it a little bit easy. Through 4. Now heading down towards 5, 6 and 7. And Williams in that second place. Already dropping back from Bertolotti because he's battling away here with Filsell. Scott Lennart behind is really close to Filsell as well. And the rest of the field coming through. There's a little bit of contact through that turn number 7 and in towards 8 now. Bertolotti already 0.9 of a second ahead of the rest of the field, so he's just getting the hammer down. He's determined to just pull away, and it's crucial, Jonathan, for him to make this breakaway so early on, because the rest of them, Filsell and Williams, they're battling away hard for that second place.
Yeah, but Scott Lennart looks really good, and he should have been in front of Jared Filsell, but Filsell with some brilliant defending was parking that Porsche on the apex of a lot of corners. He was able to stay in front of Scott Lennart there, his compatriot. from Australia. Here they go to win the first lap, and Williams has to weave across the front stretch to break the toe from Jared Filsell, breaking into the first corner. Weaving in the right-hander, Williams loses it, and he tumbles and turns around, and he is off into the gravel as well. Gets the car going, Paul, but well, not a good mistake, and he almost recollects there. That was the number 3 of McIntyre.
Yeah, that's it. He went in just a little bit too hot into turn number 1. Around he went into the gravel. There was Lanark had to take to avoid an action as well across the grass. So definitely big dramas there for David Williams now. He's 2.4 seconds behind Jamie Wilson, and now Matt McDonald's had a little bit of an issue. Just ran wide, got his braking all kinds of wrong, ran wide into turn number 6. He's back up and running now, but down in last place. But it's a 1 second lead that Bertolotti's got ahead of Filsell, but this is it now. Filsell is not battling here. He can get the hammer down. Now Bertolotti, he didn't get that pole position by mistake. He's got pace in that car, and Filsell is going to have to really give it absolutely everything to be able to catch up to the leader there, Jonathan.
Yeah, and Bertolotti hasn't won a race this season, so this is crucial moments for him in these early laps to break away from Jared Filsell, who has more victories to the advantage, and he clips the wall. Filsell touches the wall on the main straight.
He's feeling the car.
Yeah, he's feeling it. I don't think he's actually got that much damage, but he's definitely got some... that car doesn't look clean on that left-hand side for sure.
Yeah, he's got rear wing damage. He's also the front left-hand side of the car is a little bit dinged up as well. So luckily for him, it doesn't look like he got any suspension damage, because that would have been absolutely fatal if he had knocked the track rod arm or something like that to just send him round. But you could see him as he was going down that front straightaway, just twitching, just turning the car, just getting the feel for it, and he's able to keep going. But he's now half a second behind Bertolotti, and he's keeping on gaining here, Jonathan.
And so the reason that happens is because you're trying to unwind the steering onto the straight without scrubbing the tires. And the best way to do that is when you can hear the tires start to screech across the surface of the tarmac, that means you're losing time. So that's what Filsell's trying to do. And the Porsche's a heavy car as well, so it's not always easy to do in the Porsche. I mean, to have almost 1.3 thousand kilograms, 1.3 tons, 2.8 pounds as well, 2.8 thousand pounds as well in this car, it's just so much weight to unwind on the straight. So that's where it became difficult. That's where he clipped the wall, and it's almost again they're getting very close to the wall, Paul.
And the thing is, Scott Lanark is not hanging about either. He's catching up. Lanark, in fact, the fastest lap of the race, a 25.947 on that last lap. So he's putting in the times as well. He's trying to keep up with these front two. But look at this, Filsell. Now right up to the back of Bertolotti. You can see how close the gap is just in front of him. Coming out of that turn 4 into turn 5. A little bit of just feathering throttle. Now hard onto the brakes into 6. Trying almost take 2 apexes around that turn number 6. Clip the curb on the right. Turn number 7 onto the back straightaway here. 1.3 seconds covers the front 3. And this is where the battle is. This is where the excitement is. In towards turn number 8 now. Then brakes again. 9 over the curb onto the grass a little bit. Turn number 10. Oh, look at how much curb Filsell is able to take. And look at how much curb he takes at turn number 11 as well.
It looks good. Very good, Paul. I think he's going to run here on the main stretch.
He's pushing the track limit, so that's the thing. He could easily pick up a penalty if he's not careful.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. So here he goes, right up close to the wall, right up close to the inside curb. And now on the main stretch here. One shot at P1 this early in the race is a brilliant chance. But does he have the straight line speed to get in front? Nope. Only a few car lengths behind here. And he'll just have to clip the next few apexes and get up close. Now, he has to watch out because Scott Lanark, as you mentioned, Paul, is very, very close behind. This top 3 battle is within 1.5 seconds.
And don't forget also Jamie Wilson and David Williams. The recovering David Williams was in second place until that mistake at turn number 1. He's now putting pressure on Jamie Wilson in front of him, but Filsell, all kinds of pressure on the race leader here, going in through 6 and now 7. Those two really close, and two battles on track here to keep an eye on, but it's that lead battle that's the most attention, because that's where the big money is.
Yeah, and don't forget Phil Sells has that rear wing damage, so is that affecting his straight line speed? Something to look out for next time they enter the main straight. But he just looks so good, and I know he's pushing to the limits, Paul, in terms of, again, look, that has to get a penalty right there, surely. A slowdown. Doesn't seem like it, and he's doing all the right things then. You can't blame him. Rules are interpreted differently, and if he doesn't get a penalty through the system, then he's doing the right thing. But he has to get past now.
Here we go then. He's in that draft. He's in the toe. He's going to look to the inside. Bertolotti can almost let him go on the inside, to be honest. And Bertolotti, he's only a couple of kilometers an hour slower down the straight, so I think that rear wing damage is just causing a little bit of top-end speed issues, as David Williams as well down the inside into turn number 1 as well. So change for first, the change of the lead. Jared Filsell now in the lead of this one. Bertolotti coming under pressure from Lanark, actually, and Bertolotti I don't think looks comfortable at the moment, looks a little bit flustered.
What happened there at turn 2 was Bertolotti tried to turn in. Visibility was limited as he locks up there just ever so slightly. So visibility was limited, and what you don't want to do is you don't want to apply the throttle and then collect Phil Sells behind. You want to just take it easy, and I think Bertolotti took it too easy. So that's the situation you have, especially for those, whether you're using 3 screens at home or 1 screen, your field of view affects that. So it doesn't matter about how many screens you're using, it's more about what you can see outside of the car.
Going through that turn number 11 once again, and Phil Sell has already got a 0.7 of a second lead now over Bertolotti, who's under intense pressure from Lanark. So Lanark is really hounding Bertolotti as they go through that final corner now.
Lanark backed off for some reason.
I think he's just trying to, well, the thing is you can't take that corner flat in this Porsche, that's for sure. You heard them in practice and in qualifying. The engine up was changing just as they were letting off the gas, and of course the ample use of the headlights being used there by Scott Lanark as well. So go through 1, 2 and 3 now. Bertolotti just looks to have settled a little bit. Oh, I say that, he's run wide into 4. Lanark not able to take advantage of that because he got up on the curb and it unsettled the car. So Lanark having to hang behind for the time being, and now he runs a little bit deep in through 6.
Yeah, he took a very poor line there through 6. They go through 7. Here's the DRS zone, as we see, that they're going to be using in the World Championship event later on today. But for now, we have our entree, our support series events. Scott Lanark still searching for P2, and the longer this takes, the more time it gifts to Jared Filsell up in front to claim another victory this season.
Well, he's 1.1 seconds ahead now of this battle for second place, and this is the thing, these two battling away is letting him get away. He's now 1.3 seconds, so Bertolotti struggling to keep pace because of the battle in Scott Lanark behind him. Through the final turn, turn 13, onto that front straightaway then. Across the line they go, and it is 1.2 seconds the lead. Filsell to Bertolotti. Bertolotti not having to worry about any moves from Lanark this time. I think maybe Lanark's running a little bit more wing on the back there, just not giving him the overall top speed, and that's why he's able to hound Bertolotti through this infield section. I think Bertolotti's just struggling a little bit, maybe running a little bit lower wing, and that's hampering him through this slower infield section, because Phil Sell, certainly, when he was catching up, was just able to gain so much time through this tight technical area.
The only time I'd ever take high downforce at this circuit is if the tires have a huge factor. So what I'm going to see later on in the World Championship event, which Will Vincent and I will preview for sure, excuse me, is that because this season we've seen 0-1-1 stops, you probably will see a lot of drivers opt for the low downforce setup. So coming back to the Porsches, if they're not really going to make a pit stop this race and the tires aren't really going to be affected over the next 18 minutes, you'd expect most of the drivers to opt for the low downforce setup.
But well, yeah, but also you've got to take into account that you want to be able to have the grip through those tighter, twistier sections as well, you know. But anyway, this is how it is. It's just how the driver feels comfortable in the end.
Yeah,
it's all about the setup.
At the same time, just quickly, at the same time, if the lap times are the same, that's where you always opt for low downforce here at Indy. As you mentioned, the infield section is very important. But if you're in this situation like Scott Lanark now, where you really can't make a move in the infield section, I mean, you can have a peek and a look, but can you actually get past? That's the real question. So that's where you just have to opt to just do it down the straight. But I've always liked, quick random thought here, I've always liked the atmosphere of this circuit, and it's so beautiful, even in a virtual form in sim racing. It feels so cool. Stadium sections, grandstands, you see people in the grandstands, barriers close to the track. It's got a mix of everything, Indy. It's a great venue.
And with this beautiful light as well, this morning light, golden sort of look to it, yeah, it's going to be good. And of course, iRacing giving that preview during the week of the day to night transitions that they're working on, so you're going to get more of that effect as well with your racing. Bertolotti just sliding it on the exit there of turn number 11. Just trying to get the power down as much as possible. Get the best run out of there, heading towards turn 13 and the pit straight once again. Almost half of the race gone here. Enough for 16, 17 minutes to go yet. And here comes Lanark, and he's matching Bertolotti for pace into turn number 1. I was looking at the speeds there on my my timing screen. And for outright top speed in the slipstream, they were both hitting the same mark, 278 kilometers an hour.
Yeah. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, it's a bad thing if you're Scott Lanark, because it means that you're not able to get past.
Yeah. That's true. Well, because then Scott Lanark will finish third, and he'll be forever known as the Tiago Monteiro of this race. And it's never good. Whereas we've got Schumacher and Barrichello up in front. Phil Sell, though, surprisingly, I know it's only 1.6 seconds. Looks bigger than it actually is on the timing screens. If you look at it visually, he's very, very close to this pack. So one mistake from Phil Sell, and his race could be could take a turn for the worst.
Well, one thing just going on about, you keep on mentioning that 2005 race at Indianapolis. What, other than the obvious of there only being 6 cars on the grid, what was the significant thing about the end result of that race?
Was it the first Indian driver to ever score a podium?
I was going to say it was the last podium for a certain Jordan team.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it Kathakayan though who got the podium?
No,
was it the other guy?
It was Tiago
yeah,
Monteiro.
it was Tiago Monteiro. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
last podium for Jordan, because before they went into some random team,
Midland first, and then
Midland, then
wasn't
Midler, then
Yeah.
Force India. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, if you just tuned into the broadcast, that is Will Vincent. You know, he is part of this broadcast crew for today. Just randomly popped up. I always enjoy that, Will.
Well, I was going to pop in a moment ago when you're talking about this beautiful Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The only thing that's missing from this is a big crowd of raucous 21-something-year-olds on the entry to IndyCar Turn 3. Because that is the craziest place I think you will ever go, the Snake Pit during the Indy 500.
And apparently you don't go there after Friday.
Don't go there on Friday after about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's as simple as that. In fact, we can actually show you. That is where, on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, that is where the Snake Pit normally takes place.
Well, hopefully they're not there right now because the cars aren't actually going there.
No.
The thing is, I've only ever seen the Indianapolis Motor Speedway from 38,000 feet, so and that was by pure chance as well that I saw it. So yeah,
is that true?
Yes, it is. It was on a flight to Austin, Texas, and I looked out the window and it was like, oh, I wonder what city this is. Oh, that looks like the Colts Stadium. Right, let's have a look for Indianapolis. There it is. There's the Motor Speedway. So I've seen the Indianapolis Motor Speedway from 38,000.
You would have only had about 20 seconds to figure that one out, though, at 38,000 feet, because the two tracks went about 5 miles apart from each other. You probably didn't even see the field house. It was that quick.
But yeah, it was. That's the closest I've been to Indianapolis so far. Yeah. Well, by the way, we have got some action on track.
Oh wow,
Lanark.
really?
Lanark has Lanark has actually closed up a little bit this last lap. He's now within 0.3 of a second instead of being half a second. So he's got a little bit closer, and he's pushing Bertolotti. But this is the thing. Let's get back to the race here.
Yes.
I will try. Let's be professional.
No, we are being professional.
No, yeah. Bertolotti is under intense pressure here. But we've seen all season that he can take pressure. Okay, he hasn't won a race this season, but he can take that pressure all race, and Lanark closing right up there through turn number 10.
Yeah, good stuff from Lanark and the Evolution Racing Team car. And heading towards the final corner, touching the apex. Bertolotti, you can see how much you struggle in the Porsche. Here they go now, off the throttle slightly. No brakes at this corner, just off the throttle a little bit. And this is where we saw Phil Sell earlier clip the wall on the outside, unwinding the steering wheel. And Lanark just compromised there, Paul. Not enough of an advantage to get in front of Bertolotti, who's... Now, hats off to him. He hasn't really fallen behind as dramatically as we might have thought.
McDonald, by the way, further down the field with Jamie Wilson, 0.6 of a second. He is gaining on him, so we could have a bit of a battle there for 5th and 6th place.
And he's spun around. The commentary curse.
Commentator's curse. There we are. But it does mean that Guillaume Jobert is able to catch up to him now. So maybe put a little bit of pressure on there, but yeah, Lanark. David Williams behind, by the way, not really being able to catch up to Lanark and Bertolotti. One thing I was going to say, and I don't know, and I know that Will can probably do this on this time by down the pit straight. If we can go on board with Lanark and have the speeds, the comparison between the two drivers, you'll be able to see how the speeds are pretty much even as they're coming into the braking zone of turn number 1. Even though Lanark has got that draft, got that slipstream, and it just goes to show that that higher downforce setup is just not quite working for him there, Johnny.
No, it's not. No, exactly. So he's fallen behind now, so the tow isn't going to be as good either. But here they are on the main straight, 278 kilometers an hour for Scott Lanark. Unsure about Mario Bertolotti in front though, Paul.
It was pretty much the same. So, yeah, these guys not really able to do anything. And I think this is just a case of Scott Lanark having to just keep that pressure on and just hope that Mario Bertolotti makes a mistake there.
Yep, that is right. So he's got to try something different now to get back in front. That's a big key. I think he's getting close. He gets close every now and then he loses it, I think, at turn 11. And that's where that's going to be crucial as well, because as I always mention, you want to set up your car. If you achieve the same lap times and tires aren't an issue, you want to set up your car to get a good run out of turn 11, as well as the fact that you want that straight line speed. So through turn 11, you want a car that's able to turn in nice and easy. You don't want understeer going into that corner, which is very crucial. Applying the throttle, different story. The differential can play a big part there as well. But on this main straight too, if you can set up the car to go full throttle through here, which is very difficult, that's something I'd look forward to as well, because you'd save a couple kilometers an hour on this straight.
He's flashing the lights. He's trying to get in the head of Bertolotti. Trying everything.
I've got an interesting theory here, Paul.
Okay, come on.
It wasn't the top speed. It wasn't the top speed there. It was actually how much speed he loses in that dirty air through what is essentially IndyCar turn 1. Because he went down to 149 miles an hour, whereas other drivers kind of hover around 153, 154. Now, he gains that speed back up, but of course, getting 4 miles an hour at 150 miles an hour is a very difficult thing to do, and he's losing time for the acceleration out of the final corner.
Yeah, well spotted there, Will. That's it's definitely affecting him, and maybe that's why on the last couple of times he was just backing off a little bit going into 13, so at least then he could get the run out of the corner.
I think so. In fact, let's get ourselves another look by having a look on board again with Scott Lanark, because they're just coming out of this difficult 90 degree section. Final corner worth thinking about really here is now. And let's have a look at the speed charts on the bottom of your screen. So you'll see that Bertolotti will be the first one to come into the corner. He's 0.4 of a second ahead. He's hitting 151. Actually, that time by Lanak again. He does dip again down to 149 miles an hour. He loses about 2-3 miles an hour down that final corner, Paul.
Yeah, and it's scrubbing. You can see the car just slightly scrubbing through that corner as well. Heading into one, and it means it's half a second between the two of them. In through one, just cutting across that curb. Lovely there. Using that curb just to bring the car around. Gerard Fircel, by the way, only 2 seconds ahead, so he's not really pulled away from these two here, Jonathan. And
yeah.
So these two are keeping up with the race leader here. Maybe he's just taking it a little bit easier, not going at 10 tenths, shall we say.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I know what you're saying. He's just keeping at it, doing his stuff. Nothing else to say there for Jared Filsell. Nice and easy for him. And there's a reason why this season Jared Filsell has claimed 3 victories to his name. He does have the most of it out of any driver. Right now could look to add one more to that advantage he has. And it won't spring him up into the championship lead for sure, but he will get closer and closer due to the absences. And when there's prizes on offer as well, Paul, this is a great series to join. You've got a lot of prizes on offer. And so you want to be up there for the championship. And if you don't do it in 2017, warm yourself up for the final few rounds and get ready for 2018 in the Sport Series.
Whoa. You implying we're going to run this series next year?
I knew you were going to say that, but I was like, I already started the sentence, so I had to finish it. I'm honest there. I'm being honest.
By the way, and I know it's not going to have much effect, but yeah. Jared Filsell is catching up to Scott McIntyre, who pulls right over to the right-hand side there and lets your leading cars through eventually. In fact, he's getting in the way slightly of Bertolotti there, but eventually getting out of the way there, and through there goes. So lap traffic, who'd have thought? 8-car grid, and Scott McIntyre did say that he's really been struggling with this track, not just in the Porsche Super Cup, but also in the Formula Renault Sim Cup as well. So not been his weekend here today there, Jonathan.
No, it hasn't. But anyway, you can't kick yourself over it and hate yourself for 5 days. You just have to move on. Have to have the shortest span of angry in the world so you can get back to work the next day and be happy about enjoying what is sim racing, what is virtual racing at its finest in one of the best sim out there. And here they come across turn 11 once again. Lanark just trying to get behind the slipstream. Bertolotti has some understeer in those fast sweeping corners, which doesn't help. But he does have the straight line speed, so I think he's a bit smarter with his lines. He widens the line there through the final corner, and he's able to carry more speed. Very smart
I was about to mention that then. He takes a slightly later turn in for that final corner. It means that he's not scrubbing the tyres for as long, whereas Lanark is taking that little bit of an earlier turn in, trying to hug the corner, and I think that's where he's just losing that little 2 mile an hour difference there. But look at how close he is to Bertolotti here, 0.2 of a second between them, heading out of 4 through 5.
We call it diamonding off the corner, Paul, down there. And it's a whole kind of like, wide entry in, hug it down to the apex, wide apex out. And you see that quite often at tracks like Pocono and Phoenix, for example, where it's not your standard, 180-degree-ish left-hander. You'd also see it sometimes at places like Homestead, for example, when you're trying to keep the tyre momentum going. But here, I mean, we're going to get a fantastic opportunity to see this one now, because we'll just turn to our aerial coverage, and you're going to get a perfect opportunity to see it.
Oh, Lanark's made him. He's got a slow down penalty.
Well, you're not going to now, then.
Oh, that's ruined that. That's ruined that battle now.
And he's lost his rhythm, I think, slightly. But yeah, that's butchered the battle. The only battle we really had this race, and at least he didn't bin it or something into the wall and have to exit the race, which is a good thing. He's still in P3. Who was that driver, by the way? I don't know if anyone remembers in Formula 1 where they crashed here and they jumped off the barrier and fell into a lake. Do you remember that? It's in the 90s, maybe late 90s, early 2000s.
Well, considering the first Grand Prix around here was in the year 2000, It wouldn't have been in the 90s.
Oh, yeah, well, rookie mistake. Yeah, so it was definitely early 2000s.
Thanks.
No, it's okay. It's the fact that I remember Will distinctly saying that earlier in this broadcast as well.
Look, I'm not saying I didn't know that. I'm just saying we all make mistakes. The thing is that who was that driver? You don't remember what I'm saying there? Anyway, moral of the story is...
Don't fall in lakes?
That doesn't happen. Yeah, don't fall in lakes if you're a virtual racer. Oh, Jesus. Here we go. 3 minutes to go.
Yeah, I'm going to say the good news is we've got 3 minutes left of this. And it is good news for Jared Filsell as well now. It's 3.2 seconds ahead of Mario Bertolotti. And just be interested to see how Bertolotti goes lap time wise now that Scotland Arc has fallen off the back of his gearbox there. So this is going to be his first full lap without Lanark getting an effect. And the thing is, if you have got a car so close behind you in the slipstream, it can actually affect your aerodynamic performance as well. It can make the rear end just that little bit loose there, Jonathan.
Yeah, well, considering Scott Lanark's fastest lap of the event is a 25.9 compared to Bertolotti's 26.3, that made a huge difference to Lanark's race. And I think he is faster than Bertolotti, but he can't get past. The mistake towards the end will mean Bertolotti will claim P2, and hats off to him. Mario did his job in quali. Unfortunately, didn't get the win, and he'll remain winless on that list at least for next round this season. And Filsell up front, 25.9 as well, fastest lap for him, has been immensely quick despite the damage.
Can I just say, I think what Johnny was referring to wasn't actually United States Grand Prix. It was the hit Steven Spielberg movie known as Driven.
Oh. The less said about that film, the better.
Shall we move on?
Yes, let's move on quickly. Like these drivers are driving quickly around this track. See how I brought it back there? Heading in towards the final lap here. We're going to... the clock ticks down to a minute and 25 seconds remaining in this one. So we're going to get one more lap here. And let's give credit to Jared Filsell. Every time we see him racing this series, he just seems to be so good. And in fact, only one race that he's raced in, he didn't win in this series. So he only had 4 starts going into this one, and he'd won 3 of them. So it just shows how good he is in this Porsche Super Cup car.
By the way, Driven got 14% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's all I'm going to say. Moving on, Paul.
Well, I was bringing up about Jared Filsell and how well he's done and how well he's done this season.
You want a pro here? It's all right. I'll help you out.
Thank you, Will.
I think the thing for today is he hit the wall down at the final corner, which did damage that rear wing, and it did hurt his opportunity to overtake to go for the race lead. But he did it in such a way that he got the draft, but then almost kind of a bit of a dummy effect. He pulled out of it, but he's like, you know what? I'll take the inside line early, because that way I know that I should get enough momentum to go for the victory, and he did.
Yeah, and it's that type of driving that's really helped him. By the way, Scotland has closed back up to 0.3 of a second behind Bertolotti, but it's a bit late in the race considering that he hasn't been able to get past all the way through the race. Maybe a late last-minute gasp dive bomb from him on Bertolotti. That's about the only thing he could do, really, and that would be into the next corner. But anyway, one man who is coming out that next corner, turn number 11, into turn number 12 is Jared Filsell. Heading in towards the final turn, and it's going to be a nice win for him in round 8 of the RaceSpot Super Cup. Around he comes now, flashes the light, sees the checkered flag, weaves across the line, taking the win there. Second place for Mario Bertolotti with Scotland Arc in 3rd place. David Williams then, recovery drive into 4th place. Jamie Wilson, look at him all on his own here, 21.5 seconds behind David Williams. Down in 5th place, but he's going to be heading into that final turn now. He was involved in a little bit of a potential battle with Matt McDonald earlier until McDonald lost control going through turn number 1. And yeah, there he goes across the line. McDonald coming around the final corner now. And your final finisher then is going to come around that final corner. This is Julien Joubert. And I do apologise to all our French viewers for my pronunciation.
You know what? I saw it and I thought Jack the Jobber for a moment.
Well, anyway, that is the last of the runners because Scott McIntyre was a lap down there. So we'll be able to take you through your official race results here on RaceSpot TV with the RaceSpot Super Cup here, round 8 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And it is Jared Filsell who takes that one with the win. Race time 30 minutes 22 seconds, .224 if you're that interested. Second place, Mario Bertolotti with Scott Lanark in third place, only 5/10 of a second behind him. Fourth place is David Williams with fifth, Jamie Wilson. Matt McDonald in sixth with Julian Joubert in seventh, and then Scott McIntyre a lap down in 8th place. And that is all the results there for you, Will.
Yeah, and Paul, of course, we're going to see you tomorrow.
Well, you won't be hearing from me, but I will be producing the iRacing Grand Prix Series tomorrow afternoon. I can't remember where that's from.
Track.
It's and track on the iRacing service.
And we've also, of course, got the 6 hours of Glen tomorrow. I think, Paul, we're all saying we're really disappointed we don't actually get the chance to commentate that event. We might all just pop in and take over the booth. Yeah,
just do a aggressive takeover of that booth, that's for sure.
Well, that has been it then for RaceSpot Race Day. We'll be back in 10 minutes' time for the World Championship Grand Prix Series.